Welcome to the Richmond Leadership Lab, featuring business and nonprofit leaders across Richmond, Virginia. Produced and hosted by Filmspire and BenX.
And we're back for another episode of the Richmond Leadership Lab, Season 2, Episode 2. Again, I'm your co-host, Taylor Quinn, with Filmspire. We've been cooking up something big.
Something massive.
Something massive for us and for Filmspire, which I'm not going to get into now yet, basically.
Maybe next episode.
We've got some fun things planned for this year for Richmond Leadership Lab.
We do. We have some really fun things.
Absolutely. I'm talking to, of course, our co-host, Christian Mosier, with BenX Consulting for all your employee benefit needs. Reach out to BenX. And again, me with Filmspire for all your video marketing needs, and Richmond Podcast Studio. Don't forget, if you're interested in starting a podcast studio, accelerating that, we have coaching services for how to grow your podcast, how to start a podcast, and full recording services here at Richmond Podcast Studio. So, but we're not here to talk about me, but we're here. No one wants to hear about me, basically. But we're here. This is Season 2. Mm-hmm. We had an awesome episode last month. And we're really excited for our guest today. We've got a great guest. She is the CEO of Circle Studio. She is Susan Quinn. She has been a pioneer in female leadership. She has been an agency pioneer in the marketing and agency world. She's a podcast host herself. Susan, thank you for coming onto the show.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Great. I'm so happy you're here. I don't know if you ever get this. If you ever get this, then it is the biggest compliment to me. But I sometimes get, are you related to Susan Quinn? And I'm like, no, I'm not. You probably never get, are you related to Taylor Quinn? If you ever did, that would be the biggest compliment because no one knows who I am.
Somewhere along the line, we're probably related.
Exactly. We're all just kinfolk, as my dad would say, basically.
I called Taylor earlier, and I was like, is there a relation here?
No relation. No. But thank you for joining us, Susan. We're really excited you're here.
And we're so excited after 400 days of ice.
Yes.
Here we are.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's in the 50s. So
it's in the 50s.
We're in for a very warm, nice conversation.
Yes, I think so, too. Yeah. Well, let's just jump right in. For those who've been listening to the show, we know we like to talk to our guest and learn a little bit about their story, and we'll talk a lot more about just leadership in general. And things like that, which you know a lot about, Susan. So can you just tell us, for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us kind of like who you are. Tell us about who you are, briefly about Circle S, and then let's get into your background for a little bit. Yeah. So give us the rundown.
Well, I'm probably what you would call an accidental business owner. I didn't really start out to, oh my gosh, I want to be a CEO of a company, but that's what ended up happening to me. But I had the great opportunity 25 years ago, heading into 26, to merge my company of one with a really strong creative team, and Circle S Studio was born. That's awesome. And, it was one of those things when you spot talent and people that have the same values as you, you think, there could be something pretty special. And I'm happy to report it's been a great partnership and a great run. So
that's great.
That's the formation of Circle S.
And tell us about like kind of the elevator pitch for Circle S, if you will. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people will say, what does Circle S Studio mean? Yeah. And it probably took us longer to name it than to decide, do we want to do this together?
So, people put so much weight into the name.
The naming.
And the logo and the color.
It's, one of those things. But I want to start there if I can, because Circle was, it's like, I love a circle. And it just, for us, it meant this continuous loop of getting better and collaboration and studio. We weren't an agency. I felt like the talent on the creative side, elicited like a fine art studio. And so I wanted to give a nod to that. We wanted to give a nod to that. And then in the S part, it was really based on strategy, that there was so much I spent, because I started out on the marketing side with a whole lot of tactics. And I would always but what are we doing strategically? But then there are other fun S's, great storytelling and simplification. And so the S just had a life of its own.
Nice.
But that was the Circle S Studio component.
Yeah.
Today, we really focus on three things. The brand experience and an exceptional brand experience. And I'm sure every branding firm would say they do the same thing. But I think it's the flywheel of that creating an exceptional employee experience. You do those two things well, you can create an exceptional client experience. So we really spend a lot of time in those three areas. And that's where we see the momentum for companies. If you get those two things right, then the third will follow.
That's great. That is awesome.
And it's something too that can be, easier said than done for a lot of companies as well. Because I feel like every company has some a little bit of their own, I guess, quirkiness or their own, factor to it.
Well, 100%. I think sometimes we believe we're the first people to start a company.
Yeah.
And the fact of it is there are a lot of people. So this is a wonderful way that we learn from each other and take ideas but still make it our own.
Absolutely.
Totally. So where did you grow up? Kind of like, how did you kind of get into marketing? Or you came from a finance world first, is that correct?
Accidentally.
Yeah, accidentally. So kind of tell us, how did you kind of get into kind of your background and getting into marketing and all that kind of stuff?
So I grew up in Hampton, the Tidewater area, but today Hampton Roads area. My dad was an attorney, and my mother was the CEO of a household. I have three brothers, and she seemed to work a whole lot more than my dad, but she was a great leader for the household. I thought my dad's job looked really cool. So I was pre-law and pretty sure I wanted to go back and practice law with my dad. And then one summer I did an internship. And this is not to disparage the legal profession. My dad was an amazing human being. But I came home and I said, "Hey, Dad, I want to talk about this internship. Is this what you really do every day?" And he just smiled and he said, it's not for the faint of heart, but if it's not speaking to you, then find something that is. And I think what was not speaking to me was just the culture. It was very serious. And I guess the playfulness of me, maybe a little irreverent. My writing was try and break the rules a little bit. It was
nothing wrong with that.
It was, my English teachers didn't love that. But and I say that with all fun to it. But somehow this path came my way, and I love it. I love creating. I love being around the written word, the visual side of it, and so it was the right path for me.
Cool, that's great. And then I am really curious about how you mentioned you kind of stumbled into starting and kind of, getting into ownership, things like that. Like, what did that really look like? How did that kind of come about?
These aren't really great stories. I didn't come out with this, at this age, I want to do something. Yeah. My daughter just turned 41. And 41 years ago, there weren't a lot of daycare and places that, you would take your child. Didn't have family in town. And so I gave notice. And I can remember I was working in a bank marketing, Central Fidelity at the time. Great marketing department. I learned so much. And I remember telling them, I don't think I'm going to come back and I don't feel right taking maternity leave. And they said, well, actually, legally, you have to do that. But I ended up leaving after maternity leave. And then they said, well, would you consider doing some freelance work? And that was really the beginning of my little company of one. And my dad, of course, the attorney said, well, we should incorporate this and you should be professional.
Nice. Trademark.
And,
sure, Dad.
That was the beginning. And I did a lot still in community banking.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's very funny. I had a very short stint in the banking industry as well.
I did too.
Well, it's not a bad place to start.
No. I was a teller for 3 months.
There you go.
I was like a traveling teller, meaning I would go to the different branches, right? Whoever needed help, that week or those couple days.
Yeah.
See, well, maybe all marketing people should start.
Maybe
or all companies. No, it's a great place to learn.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, and then tell us about. I'm really curious because I feel like so many about the merging. You mentioned the merging and bringing together to create Circle S and and all that kinds of stuff. What did that look like? I feel like there's so many people that are like, oh, maybe we should do business together, and like what that should look like. And we had Brian Forrester on last season, who you met maybe at my party last year, and he was kind of same thing. Like he was doing his agency for a while, and then he and another buddy were kind of doing the same thing. They said we should just do this together, basically. But I'm like you say that, but there's so much that goes in behind the right fit, alignment, all that kind of stuff. So what did that look like for you?
So I mentioned I was doing work for Central Fidelity, and when they were acquired by a big regional bank, it was Wachovia at the time, the work I had been doing went away. But I did that for quite a few years, and it was a nice long run. So it was a little bit, all right, what are we going to do next? And I worked closely with Mark Smith, who unfortunately left this earth way too soon in his 60s.
So tell me about like that process for like how that went, because there is something I think to like, you don't want to just jump in bed with someone almost, and like get into business with someone. And like, I think there's a lot that goes into the thinking about like, okay, we are merging work and sharing all this stuff together. So how did that conversation kind of look and come about?
Well, to back up, Mark Smith, who was an incredible designer, he would bring me in to do copy and project management, and then I would bring him in for the creative side. And we had so many projects working together that finally I just said, why are we doing this separately? The power of us doing this together, if you can see a 1 + 1 is 3, then it probably is a good beginning. I would also say just if you feel the right match, and the things that are important to you. So, I would call those core values, guiding principles, and it was a check.
That's great.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially when finding a partner like that, it is really about finding the 1 + 1 = 3, what you said, right? Having both people that elevates not just you both, but then the future company or the company as a whole. So you guys are working on some shared projects together. So you kind of had a little bit of a feel of like
Definitely.
What this person was like, what they were about, the synergies that could exist.
And I would recommend that for anyone.
Yeah.
Don't get married
Yeah.
at first. Yeah, start that process of what is it really like to work with you? What is it like on a good day? What is it like on a bad day?
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in like not only what you do, like the work your company does is important, but like how you do it, and the way in which you work as a team is as important, if not more sometimes, because you're right. That's what's going to produce the great product at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Is all that.
So you joined. I'm sorry. You joined together with Mark. When was this?
It was 26 years ago.
26 years ago.
1999.
Wow.
October 1999, and we brought in a junior partner, Michelle Davis, who's still part of Circle S. She's our chief creative officer and amazing talent. And it's kind of a funny story. I could just tell she was like a missing piece for the whole component. Mark was great with big ideas. She was great with ideas, but could do all the detail, dotting every I, crossing every T. And I remember telling my dad, we're going to create this company, Circle S Studio, and Mark's been in the business a long time, and I just met this lady. She's pregnant with her first child, and we're excited. And he said, well, okay, good luck with that. And I wish my dad was here today to say we just celebrated 26 years, and she's been an amazing business partner.
Wow,
Quarter of a
26
century.
years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
That is...
Wow.
I forgot what the stat is about 5 years and then 10 years, but
Well,
20,
most of them fail.
Yeah,
Yeah, most of them do.
Exactly. Yeah, congratulations on that. And I'm really curious. We'll dive into leadership and principles, obviously in a little bit. But I'm really curious. I imagine the company has made, there's been many iterations of the company, I imagine, in 26 years. How have you noticed? So when you started 26 years ago, there was a couple people, and obviously you guys have grown in the last 25 years. Those first few years, were there different iterations of the company? Was kind of the vision the same? Or talk to me through those first few years of the partnership and of the company relationship.
Well, the first few years were really powerful because the economy was really strong. And we brought two companies together. We each had our own clients, and we were on the rising 25 within the first 5-6 years, and I guess they still have that today.
Yeah.
But
we
were growing, and what happened is a company of one can't really get a bigger account, but you create an agency studio, and you can get other clients. So that's what started to happen, and I think we were really focused on the brand, the creating a better brand, and we did quite well with that. My financial background was adding to the client list, and we were doing great work for other companies. So I would say the beginning we were really clear. We had good advisors in the beginning, and so foundationally we were strong, and that has, I think, sustained us through the ups and downs that happen over the course of life, business life, wherever you look. I kind of think of it like the stock market.
Yeah,
You got your ups, you
ups
got
and
your downs.
downs.
As long as you can kind of find that middle ground.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned advisors, did you guys form some type of advisory board, or did you just kind of I don't know, have lunch with people or seek out counsel? Like when I started BenX 3.5 years ago, one of the first things I realized was I don't know anything. And so, especially about business, right? Like about running a company. And so I would just like sit down for breakfast or lunch with anyone I thought that either had a little bit of that experience or could help. Was it more of like a formal advisory board or like an official 1099 relationship, or was it more of like a, hey, let's grab lunch. Hey, let's...
Well, I love the question, and I think that's the power of being able to grow a company is just that, to find those that complement you and those that are at the same level as you. I mean, I see it as those who've experienced, that have wisdom in areas that I have none. I love learning from peers, and I also love those who are brand new starting out. So I see it in those 3 tiers. Did it a little accidentally at first. I love continuing ed, so I started at University of Richmond. They had a continuing ed. It was like a mini MBA. Cool. So that was part of the learning, but then joined Virginia Council of CEOs. Big shout out to Scott McRoberts and the great work that they do. That's a wonderful way that you can learn from others. But then it morphed into a group that's specific for agencies. So I think we do learn from others and finding what I would call our trusted advisors. And I believe that's the power of any company, is an ecosystem that is rich and intentional. I have had an advisory board when the whole market crashed. If you all may be too young to remember all of that, but it was definitely we survived. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
What's there to be said for, I mean, being in business for 26 years now? You definitely talk about rises and falls. What has that been like? Has that been when we go through slow season, or work for me often is feast and famine at times, and I'm sometimes like, the sky is falling. How are we going to make it? Basically. But this
is the best day of my life.
This is the best day. Yeah, it's bad. I tell people the highs are incredibly high and the lows are incredibly low. But I've been doing this now 10 years in April, and I feel like I'm finally getting to the point where it's like, it's all going to be okay. It all just like equals out. But like, what wisdom do you feel like you've been able to glean from now doing this like 26 years? Like having more of like you have definitely more that you can look back on and reflect on. What's that been like for you?
Well, first of all, congratulations on 10 years.
Yeah.
That is not insignificant. And I love that you now feel it's going to be okay. And I think you have to have both sides of that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm too busy. You're probably the seller doer, or at least that's the beginning of it. That,
for many times. Yeah.
It's hard to do all of that.
Yeah.
But what was the question again?
Yeah, just what do you feel like wisdom or takeaways you've had now for being in business 26 years, particularly like if things are slower, like what's your mentality now if like things don't seem to be going like stellar, basically? What are some things you tell yourself basically or reflect on?
That we've always gotten through it.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I keep telling myself is hope is not a strategy. And it is, you have to read the tea leaves. You have to be aware. So I'll go back to the meltdown, 2007, 8. I could feel it in 2007, 2008. I can't remember when Lehman Brothers crashed. And I mean, it was like a major financial crash. We did a lot in the financial industry.
Yeah, true.
And, if you look at that period of time, I mean, there were so many banks that crashed. It was,
or consolidate,
the housing bubble was like a no kidding.
Yeah.
And I can remember thinking, well, it's going to be better next year. And we held on to, we had a really powerful team, and the top line was not supporting what we had operationally. And we did it year after year, hoping that it was going to get better. And that's why I take away hope is not a strategy, that you have to right size for what you have right now. And I've got a 3 to 6 month period. I'm absolutely obsessed with analytics and a very robust dashboard of what it looks like in real time. And if you look at that with intention and people that can tell a story on it, don't just give me the numbers. Like what is it saying? And then you right size if you need to. You can always hire, but we can't control a lot of the forces that are out there. And so but keep your strategy. I don't believe in, strategy 1 this year. I'll have a long term, and at least today, a 3 to 5 year vision.
Got it.
And then you adjust accordingly.
Gotcha. Wow, that's great. That's great.
Yeah, I like the part, especially around, I mean, just have it, like hope is not the strategy, right? Because I feel like, I fell in the trap too, and I started a company, right? Like, it's going to be great. And then it's like, well, then real things happen, and there's difficulties, and there's stuff that goes wrong. And I'm all for being optimistic, but it's like optimistically still need a strategy. If you're optimistic, you still need a strategy.
Well, it's really the foundation of everything. The guiding principles of a company. If you don't have them, then you're literally flying in a pretty blind way. So.
Yes.
How do you think a company develops that? Like maybe a company that's 3 years in, 5 years in, even 10 years in. How should they revisit that often? How do they really kind of get those? Because I've heard you mention principles a couple of times. How do they get those guiding or start to get those guiding principles?
So for me, there are 4. It's your purpose, your vision. So why you exist and where are you going? The mission is how are you going to get there, and then your core values. So it's kind of like my 4-leaf clover. How do you create it? Well, you start where I think a lot of companies make a mistake is everybody sits around. Okay, well, what gets us excited to get out of bed in the morning? You kind of write it down. The vision. Oh, we want to be out there. Usually, it's a financial vision. I mean the financials come if you have a vision of what you're actually doing.
Love that.
On the mission side, it really gets into how you're going to do it. What's the special sauce of what you do? But for me, if I had to pick a favorite child of that, it's the core values. It's like the behaviors that are the non-negotiables of who you are and how you're going to stand out. And the secret is if you know it and if you can recite it. Yeah. And the core values, especially if everyone in your company can say what they are. Otherwise, they're in someone's head. And they really don't exist in a company. And the ones that I see growing the most, they are foundational and they are powerful. And that is, I think that's the momentum of a company. If you don't have it, you must get it. Yeah. And if you get them, you must live it. They can't be words. They have to be actions. They have to be apparent at every level.
We'll be right back after this short message.
Are employee benefits a headache for your company? At BenX, we simplify benefits so you can focus on growing your business. From custom benefit solutions to cutting-edge technology, we make it easy for companies to take care of their teams. Visit BenXConsulting.com to see how we can simplify benefits for your growing company.
Your story is powerful, but is it reaching the right audience? At Filmspire, we create compelling videos and provide marketing strategies to make sure they drive real results. From crafting your message to amplifying it, we help you connect with your audience like never before. Ready to inspire? Let's tell your story. And now, back to the show.
And I like the vision not being financial, because when people talk about vision, it's normally always a revenue goal or maybe a profitability goal. Yeah. Right? or some type of like, EBITDA goal or whatever it might be, but not tying the vision directly to or not tying, finances, I guess, directly to the vision. I like how you said that.
Yeah.
I think that's really smart. Because like you said earlier, there's only so much you can control, right?
I mean, you can say you want to be the leader in.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Your area, the nation.
Yeah.
It's put it out there. And with that comes financial components.
Mm-hmm. If you hit these, this will happen.
Right.
It's like a
Absolutely.
lever, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of like I think you were getting at is like the overall culture, company culture and things like that. How do you guys at Circle S find the right talent that fits that culture, that fit? What does that look like for you guys?
When we really got very serious of those guiding principles,
Mm-hmm.
and I repeat things a lot, but we're not reinventing the wheel, but we used to have the meaning of Circle S, and there was a C, and I couldn't remember any of it. Come on, we've got short attention spans, and so we brought it down to 3 things. I mean, number one, respect, and it is, in order for others to give it, you have to be able to give it to others. So respect is really important for me personally. There have been a lot of times over my career where I didn't feel respected, but it didn't stop me. It really made me want to create environments where respect lived at the highest level. Collaboration, the circle, I mean, we are so much better together, and so we live that, It's hard to do it by yourself, It's really hard. Drive is the other component, and you don't have to have this wild extrovert style, but that fire in the belly. It can be a quiet fire, but you can just see the spark in someone's eye of what they love to do. And when we lead with that, we find people that makes sense. By the same time, I believe language should attract and repel. Don't try to create something that you're not. If I say those things, or whoever's speaking on behalf of the company, and if they're like, fire in my belly, I don't want to fire in my belly, well, then you may not be good at Circle S.
Yeah.
It's really okay if you want to, not. So I think it's okay to own it and to believe in it. When we did that at a stronger level, we've done, and listen, today it's ebb and flow of a lot of people coming and going, but that core group, they've been around a while.
Yeah.
I think that even extends to clients, right?
Yeah.
Like even like the making sure you're on the same page, or the values are similar, or you guys are on the same path. I would imagine, and correct me if I'm wrong, that even especially in your industry, right, when you're collaborating with the clients, it's like if you guys are off kilter, or if they're expecting something different, or expectations aren't correct, that is really when things can go sideways. And so having those guiding principles, I would imagine, really help the team, but also help figure out who you're going to work with from a client standpoint.
That's beautifully said. Yeah. When there is an alignment, you start saying things and you find out they have similar core values. You're like, this is going to be a good match.
It's going to be good. Yes. Yeah. One that I've liked that I've been stealing recently is actually the pastor at our church. He said recently, he's like, we've been saying this at City Church a lot, that clarity is kindness. So that's what I've been using a lot recently, and like had that up in a meeting today with Megan Freeman with Abundant Life Partners, who's on the show, great. And we're working with her now, and because we had a big in-depth.
Are you going to their
meeting.
Party?
You know, the carpool. It's funny. We might actually be filming some of it, which is funny enough. So
no, we'll be there.
But I was like, there's just so much that can get lost in translation. So it's like, let's just be clear, because clearness is kindness, basically. So
I say it, candor with care.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Absolutely. One of the things I really respect about what you guys do at Circle S too is some of the nonprofit stuff that you guys do. You guys have that kind of like that grant. Is that what you guys still do and things like that?
Yeah.
Tell us what gave you guys. Tell us about Spur and what was the spark or the inspiration behind that.
Well, I'm going to say this in the nicest way. When you're in our business, everyone wants you to volunteer your time.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
They we need a little copy here. We need a little whatever. Yeah. And I felt like we were getting so many asks, and I have a hard time sometimes of saying no. And the thought was, how do we create something where we can invite people in that, tell us your story and then we will donate, and we donate $20,000 of our professional services.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love about it is, so it's a bit of a grant.
Yeah.
But it comes in, and then members of our team, the leadership doesn't decide. I don't decide. It's the team. And I have them do it as a strategic exercise. Like, why would you choose this? Tell us about it. They come back, they interview the different groups, and then they're passionate about helping, that nonprofit expand. So it's a great way to, there are other things that we do, but it took a lot of the one-offs into something more powerful.
Smart.
Because when you can do something more than just a little brochure here, but really invest in them, it seemed to give more power to.
Yeah. I like that. That's
and you
really
built
cool.
a system around it too.
Yeah.
Because I imagine it was a lot of like one-offs on your part, right? The team's time, where it's like maybe a brochure here or something here. And it's those one-offs, I feel like a lot of times, that can really derail the
That's
overall.
right. We were just a little seed here. I wanted fertile ground and see something actually grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you guys been doing that?
We started it in 2020.
Nice.
Yeah, when COVID hit.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, enough about ourselves. Let's give back to others. And
Nice.
we started. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious, what was COVID like for you guys and you and your team? And talk about another
We actually did quite well.
Yeah. Okay.
Back to the meltdown and hope being a strategy. It was like we came out of the gate and said, okay, we got this.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
I just looked at it as a silver lining. It's like, I don't know what's getting ready to happen, but we found new ways to do things. We were virtual within a few days, thought it would be a few weeks, found out that was not quite the way, but we just monitored everything, and it was actually quite good. And then the PPP money came, and it was great. And, but it's, I think when we went through the meltdown, thought, well, glad that's done. We'll never see something like that again. And I think what we know is, don't know what's around the corner.
Yeah.
But
No, never. Do you find that COVID, I'm sure it obviously impacted it. So let me rephrase that. How do you feel like COVID impacted the marketing business as a whole? Because from someone who's on the outside looking in, it's like, if you have a pandemic that forces people to obviously, isolate or I almost feel like marketing becomes a little more important. I know probably not every company that was the case, but how did you feel like COVID impacted the marketing world? Maybe not just, Circle S, but the marketing world as a whole.
I think of it not so much as the marketing world, but I think it changed the world of how we see it from a working perspective. I think the whole hybrid component, the genie came out of the bottle and it'll never go back. So I think we learned to work in different ways. And I think there are pros and cons to that. But, I was traveling like a crazy woman. I was in an airport all the time, and, we'd have to always go and present. And I think...
visiting clients and stuff?
Yes. And I think COVID we can do virtual.
Yeah.
And it's an acceptable way to do it. So I think that's a silver lining from that. From a marketing perspective, I felt horrible for the travel marketing people. They were really struggling, but we did a lot in engineering and construction, and their world it wasn't impacted at all. So that's why it was essential. It was essential stuff. So we weren't hit as hard. Yeah. And we did okay. But, I see it more on the people side of it. That maybe not a direct answer to your question.
No, it makes sense. Yeah. No, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I remember we grew that year quite a bit, actually, funny enough, because it was like so many people were like, well, I'm going to cancel this trade show and that thing. And they just reinvested in digital, really, and less in person, more digital and things like that. And I was at the time being like, I'll be the one-man band doing everything, basically, So it's like I wore a mask and we'd go and I'd bring all my gear and stuff and I'd shoot it all myself and things like that. And that was the year, too, that like all of which I don't miss, which is like the virtual galas, the virtual fundraisers and things like that. And there's so much pre-recorded content that needed to be done that we ended up shooting a lot of pre-recorded content that would, air on Zoom and things like that. So it was a wild time.
Well, we were agile. You know? the wind is going to shift back and forth, and you can either get in a fetal position or it's like, hey, it's here. Let's figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And that was the spirit of our team. And, you know, we have still a client. They do a big national sales meeting, and it goes all around the country. And we were ready for it to be that big national in-person. And then it was pretty clear we're going to be remote. And we just brought in strategic partners, and we figured out. And this thing was broadcast nationally.
There you go.
Wow.
And we learned a thing or two.
Work.
Yeah.
And
It's constant learning lessons, I would imagine.
In your 26 years of running Circle S, is there a moment that like stands out that you feel like, or like what's like a lesson you learned the hard way? Something that was like, man, that was tough. But I learned from this, that I gleaned something really great from that experience. Is there anything that kind of sticks out for you? And then I want to know the flip side, just like something you're super proud of in the 26 years. But yeah, lessons learned from, you know, good and good and challenging. Yeah.
Well, I may have hinted at it with the whole financial meltdown.
Yeah.
With hope being the strategy. That was a real lesson learned. Of, you know, don't waste capital on your hope that it's going to get better when economic forces were way beyond. I mean, we could have the best strategy on earth. Yeah. But, you know, we were being impacted by the economic component of a meltdown. So that was a big, big lesson learned that I've taken from that day, and it drives us. And it didn't kill us. Yeah. So, but I think it did make us stronger.
Did you have to scale back or anything like that? Like, how did that impact the team? And
it was
things
towards
like that?
the end. Yes. We did start laying off. We were really, if it had carried on another year, I'm not sure we would have survived, honestly. But then all of a sudden things started coming back and clients started coming back, and we got through that. So, I mean, I think that is, know your numbers, know when to fold them, know when to, and I just call it right size. It doesn't mean you can't change it, but, and doing it the right way. You know, it's never burn a bridge.
Right. Totally.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to fold a 7 too. You have to.
Exactly.
There's just no, you just can't play with it.
So you said the opposite side of that?
Yeah, just what's a moment that stands out in 26 years? They're like, I'm super proud of this, that we did that or accomplished this, or something that you feel really proud of in the past 26 years.
I mean, I'm going to have to say the team of that core team that has been with us for quite a while, and just the power of us believing in one another, empowering one another, and just what a pleasure it is to be with people that you respect and you do great work. I mean, I never, ever in the back of my head think we can't do this or it's going to be embarrassing. I know it's going to be great. Yeah. And I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the Circle S brand and what we stand for. Yeah. And we're not perfect by any means, but we stand behind what we could have done better, and we will own it. Yeah. And you need to do that too.
Totally. Yeah. Can you tell us? Sorry, go ahead. You had a question.
No, it's very evident. This is the first time that we've ever met, but it's very evident how the conviction behind the core values and the mission and the vision, and I think that's powerful. Right. And I haven't talked to your employees, but I would imagine that they probably share, especially the core employees, a similar conviction to you as far as here's our core values. Here's what we believe. Here's what we are as a company. And I think, 26 years and having that is the testament about what you just said.
Thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's, if you don't know what you stand for, then, which way do
you stand
go?
for?
It doesn't really
no
matter.
one and everyone.
That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I've been there.
Yeah.
Well, but that's the learning process.
It is.
I think it just creates a stronger fabric of where you will be down the road,
Yeah,
we don't come out saying, look, we're business owners, you learn along the way.
Totally. It never stops.
Yeah, it was funny last month, and I won't get into any details, but we've been in business for 3.5 years now, and last month was arguably, if not the hardest month in business, one of them, right? And looking back on it now that I have a little bit of a breath, it's just like, yeah, there were some things that really sucked, but like the learning lessons experienced during that tough month, it's just like, I almost feel like invaluable. Like, yes, we lost a little bit financially. Yes, we lost a little bit here and there, but like the learning lessons were like, I don't know. Maybe it's me being optimistic, but I really feel that is where, you have to take those scars sometimes. You have to experience those losses to learn about what not to do and what to do.
You said it well. I mean, it's those wounds that create wisdom. So I don't know who said that. It wasn't me, but
probably Chinese proverb.
Fortune cookie? Yeah.
Probably. But, I love that mindset. It's not what happens to you, how you react to what is happening to you. We'll sit in a management meeting and someone may express discontent over whatever, and somebody said this. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Hold the mirror up. First of all, did we communicate properly? You have to start with yourself. And I say, do you hear what I hear? It's in my head.
Right. Yes.
I think it's clear, but have I communicated? Because more times than not, if there is one word that I think describes where most things fall down, it's communication.
Totally.
And we think we're doing it, and we're not. So we just had word of an account we didn't get, we should have gotten, and everyone's like, yeah, well, they did this. And I was like, time out. So let's go back. Where did we miss? Where did we not build the right relationship? Could we have done something better? Because I think we learn from those things. And you don't do the debrief on every single thing, but pick the ones where you're going to do it better going forward.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about a little tangent on like the podcast you host and things like that? Because I think there's probably a lot of similar things you talk about on your show and things like that. I saw you have Tom Gaynor coming on soon.
I do.
Things like that. We work with the Markel Group, and Tom's great. Tom's great. He's so funny. He's great. He's hilarious and very gifted, very wise. But yeah, tell us more about that podcast and what those conversations look like.
Well, it came out of, we published a book a couple years ago, Does Your Business Show Up or Stand Out? And a lot of research around that. What are the top traits? Why do some companies last for 25, 75 years? Like, what are they doing differently? And I'm a curious kind of person. And, it comes out as pretty basic stuff. They do the little things well. And so it was around that. And then how do we create, we're in the experience world. The information world is there, but people want an experience. So it's all around, how do we create an exceptional experience, and how do we learn from others? So the podcast came out of the book, Better Experiences by Design, and bringing people in that we can learn from, and creating a community like this where like-minded people want to hang out with each other or learn from each other. And so it's been fun. We're in year 3.
Nice.
Just a little bit ahead of you there.
Yeah.
We'll
year 1, we were quiet. I was like, ooh, I don't want to, can I really do this?
Yeah.
And will I embarrass Circle S? But it was okay. I just do one a month.
Yeah.
Because it's time consuming for the team.
That's what we, That's all we can manage.
That's what we do, one a month.
Yeah.
But that's great. And this year we've got, some very nice guests. And what I love about it is the preparation, for sure, because I want the right people on there, but their background, learning from them. If they've written a book, I try and do a quick read of the book. And it's like this constant, when I aggregate it at the end of the year of what we've heard, I can see how tidbits from them are impacting the way we're doing business.
Yeah.
And what's not to like about that? We're all just doing it a little bit better because the wisdom of someone else.
You said it very well. I feel like, because you're officially, I guess, our 14th guest on the show, and every single guest we've learned something.
Totally.
There hasn't been one guest. Well, there's been one. No.
No,
there really has not been one guest
Yeah.
where we had a conversation and we're like, oh, yeah, I didn't really learn much.
Yeah.
Every guest, it's just been like, because everyone does a little bit differently, but a lot of the common concepts are very similar, which is cool.
I've been this is a nerding out moment for a second. There's like I'm forgetting the name of the tool, but it's an AI tool basically where you can upload a YouTube video basically, and somehow it just reads the whole transcript of the video basically, and then you can like converse with it, or it builds a library if you keep adding more videos to it. And I thought about, I need to go through all of our episodes and put that in and see and pull out all the lessons learned from every episode, or see what crossover there is between certain guests and things like that, because it is just a wealth of knowledge for the people that we've had.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And now we can do it.
And now we can
right?
do it. Yeah, exactly.
5 years ago, we could have never.
That's
crazy.
We could have never done that.
I know. It's a wild world we live in.
And some of the business lessons you can't learn from chat, unfortunately. I mean, just unfortunately.
You can't.
No.
We have to have this human connection.
Yeah. I mean, on that for a second, like, have you seen that on the marketing side, like your clients or prospects been talking to you about AI or anything like that? What's that look like in your all's world?
Absolutely.
Yeah. The answer is yes.
Yes. And hey, it's here, and it should be a part of every company. But you have to do it in a smart way and have the guidelines. And I mean, I've got so many opinions on it. We could probably spend a whole nother episode on this. But I remember, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago, because I like to look at annual reports of companies that are doing well, and maybe even 10 years ago, I could see that there were investments in artificial intelligence and different things. I'm like, what the heck is
artificial?
This? You know, well, I guess we do
robots?
it. You know,
Yeah.
Amazon certainly has the algorithms doing all of that, so it was there. But we set up a little task force. Tammy Berry from Circle S, who is just a great strategic brain, and I said, figure out what's going on in this. Do we want to jump in early on it? Well, it was the wild, wild west, and it still is the wild, wild west.
Absolutely.
But it was like, whoo. We are early adopters, but I could tell something big was coming. And then ChatGPT comes, and it's like, whoa, it's all we can talk about.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, you've got to find the tools that work for you. And we are spending, AI is a top strategic part of Circle S this year. It's not our vision, but it is part of how do we do it smarter, better for ourselves, and ultimately for our clients. So that, I mean, we want to be able to share that news with them. We want people to work smarter and better. So Tammy is going and interviewing everyone in our company, tools they're using, and how we can do it smarter.
Yeah.
And then we're going to continue to iterate on it because it's changing all the time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've got to put your name on it and create whatever ecosystem around, and we got to keep learning on that one together.
Yeah, because it's definitely not slowing down. I mean, with all the data and everything, obviously chat is its own thing, and I think most of the United States probably uses it to a certain degree. But just like the information and the way it's learning, and you know so much has happened, I feel like, in the AI world in 2 years, right? And the speed of it, like what's going to happen in the next 2 years, 3 years?
It's crazy,
right? Exactly. We'll just all be robots having this good conversation.
It is wild. Yeah.
I also think, I think we've talked about this, but I also think that as something increases, it's like a lever as well. Something else increases, meaning that like the more, obviously with COVID and then even AI, and the more digital things are, the more people I think crave human authenticity. And I think that, like you were mentioning, obviously you were flying a lot. I've heard a lot of stories recently of companies and even us, like we're mainly, our client base is mainly in the state of Virginia, so we don't have to hop on a plane, but maybe driving 2 hours, right? We're starting to do that more often as a lot of other people are, because that has been missing a lot in the last few years. And I think, people talk about AI and all this stuff, but like it's going to change the way we work, but it's never going to change the human. Right. And people are always going to crave authenticity and these conversations, right? Like I get life from these conversations.
Yeah,
and
totally.
I don't really get life having a conversation with ChatGPT.
No. Yeah. And sometimes like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's crazy. Susan, what if you could go? I'm stealing your question.
No.
You want to ask
No,
it?
you
ask it.
Take it. No, you got it.
If correct me if I'm wrong. So you correct me if I'm wrong. But if you could go back, how many years would you say?
I'd say start of the company. That's typically what we've done.
Start of the company. If you could go back to Susan back then, what would you say to Susan back then, with all the knowledge you have now, basically? What would you say to her starting out then? Some piece of information, words of wisdom, anything like that.
Like if you had 5 minutes.
If you had 5 minutes.
With Susan from 26 years ago.
Assemble your trusted advisors in a powerful way. I mean, I don't think I appreciated the power of those who are ahead of me.
Yeah.
And learn from them, follow the leaders, take their wisdom. I spent a lot of time with peers.
Yeah.
But man, there's a lot of power of somebody who has been through it before.
Oh yeah.
So that would be
totally
probably.
That's smart.
I love
would
it.
Share.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you balance when you're talking about peers and stuff? You're talking about maybe looking at the business or working on the business. At your role today, and I'm sure it's changed, but today, because we have a lot of CEOs and COOs, who listen to this podcast, how do you balance the execution of what needs to get done, right? Or the day-to-day, so-called, with like the strategic planning and long-term thinking and on the business items that obviously as a CEO are part of your job description?
I follow a RACI model. What are you responsible, accountable? Am I being consulted or informed? And that should change every year. So I'm really clear. The hard thing is I love all of it, but I should be pruning something every year, which means it's going to someone else and they're doing it most of the times way better and empowering them. So you have to prune a fair amount of this stuff to the point it's kind of like being a parent. At some point, it's like, well, you've worked yourself out of a job. But it is, and my job has changed over 26 years.
Yeah,
so
totally.
It is out of the day-to-day. And when you get out of the weeds and move further up at that higher level, I think there's growth there for the CEO. I mean, if it's just one person, you have to stay. You've got to either have a team doing it. Someone's got to run operationally the company. But it is... There are a few things that I want to keep doing. I love strategy.
Yeah.
I love staying curious. I love research and synthesizing what's coming next. But growing my leaders right now is what's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I like that, like a prune list almost.
Oh, yeah.
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 I mean, the garden doesn't grow if you don't go in and prune it.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
There's maybe you know this book. I was listening to a podcast of another leader, not as good as a podcast as ours, but
or yours,
or Susan's. But there's a book on that written by a doctor, and I'm blanking on the name. But it talks about like pruning and how important that is. And I can't remember the name of the book, but I imagine you guys probably do that in all sectors, right? Like obviously you do it with your own tasks, but I imagine there's maybe clients that aren't a good fit or systems that aren't a good fit.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. I can simplify things that it's my strength and maybe a weakness. Sometimes I can simplify too much. But I love complexity and I love giving, it's almost like a big jigsaw puzzle. And you come in and a lot of times it's not broken in these bigger companies, but they've added on and merged, and it's all of a sudden it's like, wow,
it's like 1,000 pieces.
And it like throw it on the table, and it's like, okay, let's get the edges. What's the border for this company? And then when you start to piece it together, that to me is like really, really fun going in and figuring that out. But I think if you don't take the time to step back, what do we need to keep doing? Because it's foundationally there. All right, so this is where we're going. What do we need to start doing? But the best is, what do you need to prune? And I think companies forget
to stop.
And that's where complications come in, and that simplification is a real secret to longevity of companies.
was awesome.
That's a clip right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, even at BenX, we just went through our first, I would say, pruning season, and it was eye-opening, to say the least. Right, of various of different. I won't get into the details, but a couple different things that were pruned, and it was definitely interesting. I've never in my life until probably Q3 of last year ever thought about what I should stop doing. Right, normally it's always been like, okay, this is working, do more of this, and also add this or do this, and
right, yeah.
And obviously some of that comes with teams, some of that comes with different things, but I thought that was, at least for me, was fascinating. Like, what do we stop? Like, what am I doing, or what's something my team's doing that just makes no sense, or something that should just be cut.
Or for companies that say, well, we've always done it that way and we're going to do it this way. It's like, whew, I don't know if I'm going to get along with this group because, change is a very fearful thing to some.
Totally.
I love change.
Yeah.
I embrace it. I don't want to do a million things every day that scare me, but, a little bit of change is good.
Yeah. Or change for no reason, right?
Yeah,
the right
gotta
change.
have a rationale for it. Yeah.
One of the things I want to ask you, because it's perfect timing. What did you think about the Super Bowl commercials? Do you pay attention to Super Bowl commercials?
Of course I do. One of my favorites, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I did think there was a wholesomeness to a lot of them. I think maybe it's just a sign of the times. We're seeking a little more peacefulness. I think we pay too much for the Super Bowl ads. I think we should all just take a big chill pill and enjoy the beauty of the game. You're asked, it's not a good question to end on. It's there's a lot of power to it. But I have too many opinions. We can move to the next question.
Let's do some fun questions.
Yeah, let's do some fun.
Kind of wrapping up. We ask everyone this all the time. Richmond, what's your go-to restaurant?
Oh, my go-to restaurant.
Or a couple. You don't have to signal, but like a couple you enjoy.
Well, I'm going to say Osaka because I love sushi and I can't make sushi.
Osaka's so good.
I love them. And I've got family in town. I mean, even the 2.5-year-old little Carrington we go to have sushi.
Amazing.
And I got to tell a story there. I was with them and he thought the wasabi was an avocado.
No.
And we were sputtering
as expected.
When we realized, but no, that's a go-to. I love small, those that are doing it themselves. I love those small restaurants to support. I guess one that comes to mind is Amuse at VMFA.
Yeah.
I always get inspired there. It's this beautiful place in our backyard.
Yeah.
And you go in, it's just the magic of it and the art. And then if you've seen an exhibition, they usually have a little theme for what you eat. So I don't know. That's a fun place.
VMFA, I go like once or twice a year, and every time like I should come back more.
It used to be
such a cool spot.
When I was younger, the best happy hour in Richmond to go to.
Oh yeah.
It
would
was
be like,
I think COVID stopped.
I think it really killed it, but it would be like hundreds
of
people out on the lawn, and it was so cheap basically, and it was
we are so lucky to have them in our backyard.
We really are.
We are. It is amazing. If you weren't the CEO of Circle S Studio, what would you be doing?
They say if you ask a good question, there's a long pause. I think very similar to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just maybe in a simpler way. Whatever the next chapter is for me, I want to continue to help others lead better, empower people, giving them a voice, and that's what kind of is a fire in my belly, just to see. I mean, when I was growing up, you didn't have mentors, you didn't have all these executive coaches, and I think it's a really good thing that we can learn from each other. We should never stop learning.
Yeah.
So there will be some aspect of continuing ed, and I'm growing and they're growing. So that whatever that chapter is.
Yeah, I love that.
Good question. Good answer. Yeah.
Well, the way we love to wrap up the show and is around nonprofits. So kind of going to throw it back to nonprofits as a thank you. And seriously, thank you. This has been such a great conversation, and I think a lot of nuggets and just a lot of wisdom. And we've really enjoyed having you on the podcast. As a token, essentially, of our gratitude, we like to give a small donation to whatever nonprofit that you support or that you want to support today, and then obviously shout them out on the show, and then we'll give obviously a small donation as a thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned VMFA. I would send it over there. They're getting ready to expand their incredible campus, and let's continue to make them the gym that they are. So I don't work with them directly, but I'm so inspired. I think they do it well.
Yeah.
And they are, let's just make sure they stay a gym.
Totally. Great.
I love that.
Great choice.
Yeah.
I love that.
And we have to go to the happy hour.
Have to do that. I have to do it. When this weather comes back, let's keep it up.
Yeah.
Susan, how can people get in touch with you and Circle Us? What's the best way for people to kind of just be engaged with you?
Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. If you go to our website, you can click on my name, and it's got more information on there. I am pretty visible, and just pick up the phone, call, and I love conversations, so I hope to hear from people.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And what's your podcast name? Is it on the website?
Yeah, Better Experiences by Design, and once a month. And I've got John Asbury from Atlantic Union. He'll be coming up next week.
Nice.
Had a wonderful conversation with him.
Yeah.
Fabulous leader.
Yeah.
And mentioned Tom Gaynor from Markel. He's coming up soon. And I've got 6 CEOs this year.
Cool.
So
Nice.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Susan, for coming on. And you were on my list for when we were brainstorming earlier this year. It's like, who do we have? Like, Susan Quinn obviously needs to come on. So thank you for coming on. And this has been an awesome conversation. So thank you.
Honored to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching, guys. Tune in next time.